No disclaimers tonight. I just wanted to take a second before we actually do the show just to thank everybody who has been tuning in the last 5, 6 weeks on this venture forward and how much that has meant to me. And we'll talk more about that and exactly what we have discussed and what's coming down the road. As I am thankful for the venture forward. Let's begin. Nearly a month and a half ago, I introduced you to what the venture forward is. I talked about my addictions of overeating, alcoholism, and gambling. Tonight we're going to do something a little different, and I'm going to talk about what makes me really happy, what makes me really blessed to be going down this road, to be taking this venture forward. I'm also going to open the floor up for you guys to join me on the eCam interview mode, and we could talk about what makes you happy, what makes you feel thankful and blessed and whatnot. It's a very tough question because we're dealing with so much this year. It's not an easy question to answer, but we will talk about it tonight. This is the Venture Forward.
Smartphone disconnected. Two devices connected. Disconnected.
Yeah, there was no music, and one of these days that was going to happen, and boom, did it happen today? So there you go. Thankful for Sarah to point that out. We'll get to your questions and comments momentarily, but um, hi, happy Thanksgiving week. Today is Tuesday, November 24th. My name is John Ventrini, and I'm an over. Wow, that didn't. Okay. I'm a recovering addict of overeating and obesity, also alcoholism and gambling. I have basically been telling the story about the overeating, about the sobriety, and about the gambling over the last 6 weeks. And I'm glad you're here to talk about what's going on in your world and also what are the roadblocks that are in our way that we need to remove outside of bad audio in the beginning of a show and whatnot. We push forward. We soldier through for sure. So let's go to the comments and see who's here because I'm thankful and blessed for all of you being here tonight for sure. Sarah, how are you? Hope you're doing well. Marilyn, good to see you. Hi, Davey. Hey, Sarah. Mr. Matt Haas, hey to you too. I'm going to put out the link for eCam in about 5-10 minutes, but they should be in the body of both the Facebook and the YouTube post for this session. So if you can join that or see that, by all means, you can jump on anytime you like. Yeah, there was no music before. That was late to the show. I'll fix, as they say, I'll fix that in post. There we go. Sean, how are you? Hope you're doing well. Hope you're ready for Thanksgiving. And tip of the hat to you too, Sean. So, in the last 6 weeks, we have talked about a lot of things that have held me back. Tonight, we're going to go over those conversations, not necessarily bringing those videos back up, but talk about what was going through my mind as I was basically opening the door for that. But also talk about the amazing people that have shared their stories in the last 12 episodes, because I'm very thankful for them. I'm also looking forward to telling a lot more stories about the other things that have been holding me back, but also that's been holding us back, right? This venture forward is not just a story about what I've gone through, but this venture forward is a story about what everybody goes through. You go to many Americans right now, many people of the world, quite frankly, about the addictions that they have basically been held back by. Well, we have an obesity problem in this world, don't we? Especially in this country. We have an alcoholism problem in this world. And we shed some light on the gambling addiction as well. And how easy, absolutely easy it is to gamble in this country, especially in the Northeast. Last week, we talked about co-addiction and codependency, and basically shedding light, or starting to shed light, on what causes the mindset to go down that road. This week, we're talking about all of this together, but also talking about gratefulness, talking about how it is a little bit difficult to be grateful in a time where we're dealing with what we call, and I hate using this phrase, as you guys know, the new normal. We have to start forming our own normal. We have to start forming our own sense of direction, our go forward, for sure. Next week, we're going to talk about a term that some people don't know about. We're going to talk about CPTSD. Basically, the post-traumatic stress disorder generated from the coronavirus. And if I get demonetized, well, I wasn't getting monetized to begin with. So it's something where a lot of mental health professionals have been dealing with a lot of cases with CPTSD, whether it is in their own office or via telehealth or all of that. I'm going to talk about next Tuesday what CPTSD means to me. Talk about how a lot of things have changed, given the fact that I was already changing a lot of things to begin with. But then on Thursday, we're going to have someone talk about what CPTSD actually is. It's going to be a very interesting look at this on something that doesn't really have an official ICD-11 name yet. But we have to talk about it, without question. And then in the coming weeks, we'll talk about other things that are very near and dear to me as I've gone through them, but also very difficult topics. But I'll tell you more about that over the next couple weeks. Starting on Tuesday, next Tuesday, we're going to start not only streaming on Facebook, not only on YouTube, but we will also be on Twitch. And there is probably at least one or two other services we'll be streaming to in due fashion. There's a question about why Twitch. There's a question about why the move to Twitch. And I'm going to say, there are not many support or recovery streams out there. Not many self-help streams. A lot of gaming, which is great. Who doesn't like to show off their gaming ability, whether it is a PS5 sort of thing or Xbox sort of thing. But within all of that, there are folks that are trying to find a new way of thinking about things, a way of thinking about things that is going to help them, that is going to make them feel more complete, feel like, wow, there are a lot of things that I can do in this life, a lot more things that not only touches me, but touches the community around me, for sure. That is basically the game plan for December. There will be other topics we will bring up too, but um, I absolutely am so energized and refreshed in doing this, in sharing what I've gone through, the road that I have gone down, and in sharing it with you, because in a way we've all gone through that. There are some adages, there are some things I wanted to share with you. I'm going to try to share my screen, and knowing how things have been working tonight, who knows if that will work correctly, but we will power through this, right? So let me share my screen and talk about that. Well, close. And before we actually do that, there we go. Let me know if I can also talk to this too. But the first thing I want to talk about is gratitude, right? And gratitude being a noun, it's basically the quality of being thankful, readiness to show appreciation, and to return kindness. Sample sentences: she expressed her gratitude to the committee for their support. Let me go down and basically go back to my screen real quick. I'll explain why that slides in there. We lose our sense of gratitude in the sense that we deal with so much, especially this year, especially the sort of high stressful situations we have to deal with. You tell us that we have to basically lock ourselves inside our house or whatnot, basically change our way of life. It is a very stressful situation. Also, trying to put some sense over, let's face it, a virus that really is an awful virus. It's an awful, awful thing to see, affecting so many people. That's going to bring stress levels to such an epic high with people. And I don't know about you, but there are people in my life, colleagues, friends, that this is absolutely affected. They've known someone who has been either sick or been in the hospital, or, I had to say it, have perished from this. So it really is a real thing. You can dissect everything for what it is, but it really becomes a question of, what do I need to do to make myself healthy? Now, one thing I've told someone way early in all of this is, I'm thankful for the road I went down as far as watching what I was eating, tracking what I'm eating, and then later on the sobriety, because I can't imagine how my overall health would be if I wasn't doing that. And we talked about comorbidities left, right, and sideways with respect to this, but we don't know exactly how effective just preventing the comorbidities is. But the best thing you could do is for yourself, put yourself in a better place. I started going to the recovery groups of Recovering Addict, Sober James, Nicole, who joined us on Thursday. Thank you again, Nicole. That was a phenomenal, phenomenal interview, and I'm glad you were able to share your story about co-addiction and codependency. Thing is, we're all here trying to fight together on this. We're all here trying to find a better path forward, trying to make a venture forward. I don't try to talk much about the amount of weight I've lost, But there's some days I wake up and I look at myself in the mirror, or I look at the reflection of myself in walking, and I can't believe how I look now. I can't believe that I'm not struggling, but two, the fact that I can actually go from point A to point B without a problem, the fact that I can go to a normal store to buy clothes and live closer to a normal life. But basically, in this year, what is normal, right? There's not much normal, but I'm trying to do the best I can to get myself to some sense of normalcy. As a lot of the most amazing people I've met this year are doing the same thing, and I am absolutely blessed and thankful for all of you. We're all trying to reinvent ourselves. We're all trying to do something that makes sense for us. If we do that, we have a chance of not only changing ourselves, but changing the family around us, changing our friends, basically imparting our wisdom, our knowledge, our love, our respect to the people around us. And yes, the world too. If you told me back in January of 2019 that I would be 204 pounds, I would have thought you're crazy. Well, why? You lost the weight before? Yes. But the weight came back on. I now know why the weight came back on. And you darn straight I know why. And I'm not going to go down that road ever again. It's kind of the reason why we talked about the external sources that are around us, how they feed into that. And we'll talk about that more over the next few weeks for sure. But everything is connected. We could talk about co-addiction. We could talk about basically poly-addictions. We could talk about all of that. But it all stems from a place that we all know about. This. If our way of thinking about something is not a way that is healthy or productive, that shows us that there is a little bit of good in everything. Because, yes, every moment is a gift. When we are downtrodden and we can't get out of our own way, we do the most horrible things to ourselves. Whether it is overeating, whether it is drinking, whether it is causing yourself financial ruin and gambling, or any other thing. It could be a drug addiction. We could list addictions for the rest of the day if you want. They all fall in that sort of thinking and trying to overcome that. It's something that we must always be understanding of. For anyone that calls themselves an overeater, for anyone who calls themselves an alcoholic, for anyone who calls themselves a compulsive gambler, we know that fight is going to be every day. There's no magic cure. We have to work on this every day. But by doing the work, by treating ourselves in the right place, we stand a chance to do so much good, not only for ourselves, but for others. Let's go to some comments. Sue, good evening. Hope you're doing well. She says, hi JV, doing well. So grateful you have this channel. You bless us. Sue, you bless all of us too. Your presence here, you participating and being a part of this community definitely blesses us. You help us so much. So Sue, thank you for being on tonight. Jane, how are you? I'm glad to see you here tonight too. I hope you're doing well. Hope you're having a great evening on this Thanksgiving week. Sean says, I'm so glad you tackled co-addictions as a topic. Recently came to realization that my alcoholism went hand in hand with a bit of a shopping addiction. Yeah. And, the thing is, many people have that sort of dopamine drip, that sort of rush from not only from gambling, I was going to say gambling, but yes, shopping and just doing things that gives them that short-term high, but they lose sight of what the long-term goal of it is. So, Sean, I'm glad you mentioned that. Sarah says, I'm hopeful as opposed to grateful that we're learning more about our inner lives and what we value through this experience. Sarah, you're spot on. I'm hopeful too. There are times where we may think we have a good handle of these things, and then our mind or our environment around us surprises us in how we deal with something. So Sarah, spot on for saying that. I'm hopeful too, but I'm also grateful for the walk that I've went down. Because if I didn't, there would be no me. That's for sure. Sarah says, good for you, Sean. Good to see you, Sue. Thank you, Sarah. Appreciate that. Des, how you doing in Australia? It's probably morning over there. Good day, and good day to everybody else. Yes, indeed, Leslie, for sure. Jane says that is key to healing. Yeah. We're not perfect. There's no such thing as perfection. But we want to make progress. It's progress, not perfection. That's what we do. We want to show that we're trying to do something, at least have the intent to do something, to try to make things better for ourselves and for the people around us. Ob, good morning to you. Hope you're doing well. Jane says, I'm learning to love even the dark parts of myself. Yeah. I think coming to the realization of what sort of mechanisms exist, what sort of things that are holding us back, or are different spins on things that we do, to get a better understanding of all that is very important to us. We can't pretend they don't exist. We cannot just sweep them under the rug. We have to recognize it and then be able to explore it and then be able to work aside it or around it, but definitely not squelch it. Because again, we go back to the example of why people grow to an addiction, why people have problems in their relationships, etc. It's because there's a lack of transparency. When you have transparency, you have a chance to have a better way of life. That's true about anything. We could talk about any sort of relationship you have, business, personal, friends, what have you. Transparency is important. It allows us to be truthful, not only to the person that we have the relationship with, but to ourselves too. Ashley, good evening. Hope you're doing well. I'm glad you can catch a part of this too tonight. It's good to see you, for sure. Jane's over on YouTube now. Elo, good evening. Hope you're doing well. Much love to you too, sir. I admire your courage, my friend. I admire your courage too, and I admire the stories that you tell on your channels and your streams. You're definitely someone that I look up to in all of this. You, Matt, everybody else that we did live every day in August with. You guys are incredible. You have a story to tell, and I love listening to those stories, listening to your realities, your truths, because we're all here to take in each other's truths, for sure. Leslie says, still codependent on my ex-addict boyfriend of many years. Well, it's something that we have to work on. And Leslie, I can guarantee you that there are many people that follow the Venture Forward, and also Recovering Addict and Sober James and Nicole, that can help you there, without question. And needless to say, if you want to reach out to me, theventureforward@gmail.com. Don't hesitate to email me. I am more than happy to to listen, to tell you about the strategies I've used to try to overcome these things. We're all in this together, Leslie. Don't forget that. Leslie then says, I often find myself wanting to use myself from depression and PTSD. Thank you for this channel. It helps. Leslie, thank you. Thank you for saying that. We grow off of each other. We grow off of each other's strength. We learn. We do as much as we can to put ourselves in a better place. Without that, to fight this alone becomes a world's tougher sort of situation, for sure. Ob says, I hand it all over, JV. Any issue comes up in my life, I deal with it now, not later. 12 steps taught me how to live. I don't play the victim game. Ob, you're spot on. It also talks to the sort of reality of the people and places and elements that were involved in the addiction, whether it is alcoholism or gambling or whatever. Taking an inventory and understanding that, making amends is part of healing. It's part of becoming a better person. If there's anybody I trust in these groups, it's certainly you. So to hear you say that, thank you. Thank you very much. Leslie says, thank you. I have a great support system. I will reach out to you. Anytime, Leslie. For sure. Jane says, depression is often the cause of my downfalls. Yeah. If you take a world like the world we live in now, it's definitely relevant and resonant within so many people. We're going to talk more about that next week. But if we have a better way of trying to crack that, trying to get a better way of understanding that, we are in a much better place. Leslie says, Jane, we got this. You do. You absolutely do. And there are a bunch of other people that will help you get it too. As again, we are all in this together. Using the phrase that LT and Felice uses on their channel of Recovering Addict, we truly do recover better together. We're here to help each other. So, without question, anything you need, Leslie, anything you need to talk to, we're here for sure. Jane says, I actually have to find a humor in my depression sometimes. Yeah. It's one of the things they talk about, Bill W. in Alcoholics Anonymous, is trying to find a sense of humor in the sense of trying to find that sobriety, trying to find a cleaner way of life. If we don't have a sense of humor, then we're not human. I truly believe that. I truly believe that without a sense of humor, I think it becomes a lot more of a situation where we're frozen in what it is and what was done and where we were. There's a reason why there was a stuffed triceratops on that back wall for a while. And we'll probably be back there the next time we do a VF Talks. It's because we have to have a sense of humor. And without that sense of humor, we have other things we have to figure out, especially for something as very, very tough and sobering as what we deal with. Ob says, you're welcome, mate. I'll be working and fixing up my den today and create a studio. I want to do my first video next Thursday. Ob, you are a treasure trove of knowledge that can share so much information to all of us. So I look forward to that and will definitely subscribe to it for sure. In fact, when you do, I would be more than happy for you to jump on to Venture Forward, plug your channel, talk about the story that you've basically faced your entire life with your addictions, but moreover, the light bulb moment and how you are basically treating others and treating yourself in a cleaner way of life, a healthier way of life, I would really appreciate that, and I look forward to your channel being set up for sure. Rooting you on without question. Jane says, I need to get back to doing the Wim Hof method. Yes. It's something where we don't talk much about unless you know of it. You have friends who've done Wim Hof that know that sort of strategic breathing routine to get yourself a better blood flow. We will talk about that. I guarantee before this year is over, we will talk about Wim Hof because it is definitely one of the methods I learned. It's not something I'm completely religious about, but I definitely know how to do Wim Hof. That's helped me. So, yes. That says, our mental health plays a big part in recovery. If we don't get our mental health right now, or right, if we don't get our mental health right, nothing will work to get us sober and clean. Absolutely does. Absolutely. Leslie says to Jane, yes, that method is awesome. I absolutely agree. It takes discipline to do it, but once you do it, there's a lot of physiological benefit that comes from Wim Hof. That, cold showers, that sort of methodology. We'll shed more light on it over the next few weeks. Jane says, I feel like COVID brought several blessings this year. We wouldn't know each other if it weren't for COVID. Amen. Amen. We wouldn't be on a Facebook or YouTube stream talking to each other about what we're dealing with, how we're fighting it, how we're trying to become clean and sober and have better fiscal responsibility. Without question, as I said, every moment is a blessing. There is a good side to it. There's a bad side to it. We know what the bad side is, of course. But the good that comes out of it is incredible. You just have to open your eyes and see it, but then also take into it as well. Thank you for raising that, Jane. Appreciate that. Des, cool. True that for sure. Sean says Rex likes a good chuckle. He likes causing a good chuckle, or likes a good chuckle, but he also likes to be very cantankerous and profane. Good thing is, he's a stuffed animal. So maybe I'm just imagining that, but don't tell anyone else. Jane says it also caused me to get laid off from a job that sucked the life out of me. You're forming yourself a better path forward. The initial shock of being laid off, of course, traumatic, of course, life-changing, and something where you're basically you're wondering why the heck this is happening to me. But it gives you a chance to do something new. It gives you a chance to do something you've been always wanting to do. It's an opportunity. And it might be a very tough way that it came down, knowing how long you were in that job chain. But no time like the present, right? We want to do something different. We just have to construct a plan and then be true to ourselves and go down that road. Sarah says, truth, no sobriety without mental health and no mental health without sobriety. It goes hand in hand. It's the ability for the brain to think from a clearer space. Sarah, thank you for saying that. Ob says, sticking my neck out here, I was a hateful atheist. Today I found some belief in HP. If I overcome my spiritual malady, my mental and emotions will straighten out, and it did. There's a lot of truth to be told about religion, not necessarily Judeo-Christianity or Judaism or Islam or what have you, but having a bunch of people together in a congregation, forming a family, giving that sense of they're human beings too. They're dealing with what they're dealing with. There's strength in community. There's strength in the congregation. Aubrey, thank you for saying that. Sarah says, totally true. I wouldn't know you, JV, and I'm very grateful for that. I'm very grateful for knowing you, Sarah. I can honestly say you're a very, very dear friend of mine, and I'm so blessed for that. Ob continues to say is mental health becomes better when following some sort of spirituality. It's true. He then says, that's the key for me. I'm no longer a whiny little victim. Yeah. If you think about that sort of way, yeah. Um, we have to take ownership for what we do. We really do. And the thing is, it's one thing to say, this happened, this happened, this happened. But if we can construct a way around that and take that power back, we end up in a better place without question. But we have to do that. Leslie says, Aubrey, my heart is smiling and I have chills. So happy you're finding your HP. Ob says, I had two choices, Leslie. Keep drinking and die or accept spiritual help. Yeah. The thing is, it could be a question of drinking. It could be a question of narcotics use. It could be a question of anything. In my case, it was waddling at basically Raleigh-Durham Airport in maybe the smallest terminal known to man. All 8 gates of it. You know everybody there. Kind of resemblant of the TV show Wings. And you can't walk more than 5 to 10 feet without needing to sit down because you don't have a good control of your health. And I was always saying, well, others did that to me. There's this, that, or the other. But the thing is, you're the one that's drinking. You're the one that's overeating. It goes back to you. You got to take ownership of it to a certain degree. So, yeah, there's no room to be a whiny little victim. There's an opportunity for us to construct a plan forward, a venture forward, and be true to ourselves. It's the only way we could do it. Mental. I figured as much. I just read it off of the comments panel over there. Mental is very important. Mental health, and I'll be honest. This journey, the last 2 years, wouldn't have been possible without seeking that sort of help. And it's not the sort of traditional alive from off center way that I did back in 2011. It's me exploring something like internal family systems and going down that road. Learning the idea of a firefighter to fix the melody that's upstairs. Getting a better understanding and being very diligent about how we treat ourselves. But journaling, meditating, starts up here. We have to do that. I do not mean religion, my good friend. Yeah. The thing is, it's whatever sort of area of community that you gravitate to. It doesn't necessarily have to be religion, for sure. Leslie says, yes, amen. Also says, Aubrey, whatever it is, finding it is important. Sarah then says, giving up the victim position is key. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's the moment we can break free and be the phoenix that we are, we regain the strength. We turn the tables back and we take the power back. Sarah, you're absolutely right. Sean says, great way of looking at it, Aubrey. I'm still working on not throwing pity parties. There's no room for pity parties. There's room for us to become better by helping each other out, by building in our strength and moving forward, but not pitying it, not at all. Exactamundo. I like that op. Sue says, so my mental health had a shocker today, had blood work done, and couple results were scary, but will continue on and see doctor on Monday. Now I'm afraid to eat. thing is, Sue, the best person to talk to would be your doctor as far as what you can eat and to make sure your numbers are in the right place. Whether it's a question of your macronutrients or a food sensitivity or a food allergy, your doctor will probably be the best way to go. I will make no I make no facade about this. I am not a doctor. I am not a nutritionist. I am not a dietitian. All I know is that consulting a nutritionist, a dietitian, in addition to my primary, my PCP rather, has really helped me in this journey for sure. It's the advice that comes to my mind is, tracking everything as far as my food. Has become very important to it, right? Understanding what I'm eating, understanding what goes in. Spiritual health isn't necessarily religion. Yep. Yeah, I quickly jumped on I quickly jumped and thought religion, but you're absolutely right. It's spiritual health is definitely what we're talking about here, and I apologize for instantly going down the religion road for a second there. Ob says, Sean, my good man, find spiritual help. Get honest with yourself and stop mucking around. Get honest with yourself and deal with your crap that makes you feel like a victim. Yeah. Ob, spot on. Sean says, I'll show them. Proceeds to drink at them. No. Do things for yourself. Do things for yourself that make you healthy, that make you strong. That's where it starts. Sarah says, Sue, sorry about that. Just eat low on the food chain, fresh food. Yes. The fresher, the non-processed, the better you are. Ob says, yes, Sarah, I would not have believed in spiritual help if you told me about HP. I would rip you apart with my words. Today I found peace, love, compassion, passion, and acceptance. Hey, Ingy, how are you? Glad you're here. Ob says, yeah, Sean did that as well. But then Aubrey continues to say, but once in a while I fall into a self-pity, and most oftentimes because I did not get my way. Your expectations become a bit high, and then one thing leads to another, and things teeter, of course. I agree, Sean. We are keeping you in our thoughts, too. And then Op says, Sue, I'm sorry to read that. Like JV says, continue to see your doctor and find a solution. Yeah. Get a full understanding of what it is and from a dietary perspective, but also, for me, I like to get my levels checked every year and go for a full comprehensive blood test, see what my HDL, LDL looks like, all of that. And I think getting a better understanding of basically what drives you, what sort of levels you have, but also in my case, I have a situation where diabetes runs in my family. My mom is a type 2 diabetic. My dad had type 2 diabetes when he passed away from his fourth heart attack. It's something that resonates. It's something that I have to keep in the back of my mind. It's something I have to keep a close eye on. So understanding your levels, understanding what you are sensitive to from a food perspective, what you're allergic to from not only a food perspective, but also from a topological perspective with your skin, dermatological is I think what I meant to say. It's important. So, get a better sense of that and everything follows. But don't also say, well, I'm going to be overly careful about what I eat to the point where you're starving yourself. Can't do that either. I understand it's a very tricky situation, Sue, but again, you have to take care of you without question. Sue then says, thank you all. We'll follow through. My first thought. Sue, if you ever have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to us for sure. And I think that leads me to the next thought is within the next 2 or 3 weeks, I'm going to set up a Discord for Venture Forward. I'll give you more information about that on next Tuesday's program about CPTSD and that sort of line of thought, because I think the more we talk with each other, the more we hear everybody and get a sense of what our community is feeling from all the different topics we talk about, is the most important thing we can. Most important thing we can do, most important thing we can be a part of. And not only the Venture Forward, but Recovering Addict, real talk with Nicole, Sober James, all of that. Bob says, awesome, Sue. Follow through and find your way out of that wilderness. Once you find a solution, live with it and carry on. That's the thing. Ob's exactly right. Find it. Don't be afraid to be agile and tweak it every which direction you need to, but follow through with it. Don't give up on it. Know that you're doing something important for yourself and follow through. Following through is so important because so many people realize they have the problem. They go down that road and then they get paralyzed by the thought of, oh my God, what the heck did I get myself into? At that point, you try to break it apart and figure out the best way to undertake it, the best way to go down that road. So, I think the other thing I wanted to talk about tonight is just to thank the people that actually came on the show and helped tell their story. Whether it was Merck in week 1 on episode 1 telling about his story, about his various addictions, and being very open and candid. There was no better way to start off the show without talking to him. He was phenomenal. I think talking to Leah in week 2 about bariatric medicine and going down the approach of, hey, there are other ways to fix obesity outside of just doing straight caloric reduction or medication. In Leah's case, she went down bariatric medicine and lost over 100 pounds. And the thing is, she's keeping it off and is doing so much for herself. I'd like to thank Sober James for joining us, talking about not only the ever-present thought about alcoholism, but the other addictions that he has in his life, and then also live streaming about it. So he told a very important tale. I'd like to thank Des for telling his story from Australia about the familial effect of what goes on with addiction. That was an incredible interview, and I thank you for that. I also want to thank Archie last week. I talked about his addiction with gambling and moreover what was involved with that addiction to gambling and how his life was at the precipice without combating it. And he goes down the right road the first time, and then he fell down. And he had to pick himself back up and fix it. If you get a chance to see that episode with Archie, by all means do. It was really powerful. I want to thank Nicole for the talk she gave last Thursday on co-addiction and codependency. We forget about how everything gets intertwined with each other. So for Nicole to be very open and honest, a very, very heartfelt interview, very heartfelt story. Nicole, thank you for doing that. Thank you for all of you. Thank you for joining in the last 12 episodes. Thank you for subscribing and just being here. We truly get our strength and sobriety with each other. There's no joke in that. It truly is the case. Some more comments popped up. Aubrey says, find it, dispose it, replace it, and carry on, Sue. Sue says, I will. Good evening, Alan. How are you? Hope you're doing well. Alan, it absolutely is a glorious evening to be sober, but it is a very glorious evening to be with all of you. You guys are incredible, and I'm glad you are here. And I think that's what we're going to cover. I want I want to tell you the one thing that made my eyes really open in this entire trip. If we go back in time for a second, we talked about this earlier in this episode in the sense that I've had a fascination with live streaming. There are three people I want to thank right now, in that of Luria Petrucci, David Foster, and Callie Fabro. Three of the key people over at Live Streaming Pros. Now, there are other people, Elo is part of that group, that have helped me tell my story as we all try to become better at live streaming, but also become better storytellers. All of you are incredible, and I truly, truly thank you. And I really look at you as family. There are no better people that I will spend 2 hours watching them manage their cables in David's studio. And some of the funniest things came out of that. And it goes back to the ability of having fun, but also getting the job done too. We can't lose the sense of having fun. We can't lose the sense of trying to be ourselves, but also realizing what is holding us back and working through that. The VF Talks, by the way, will come back not this Friday, but the following Friday. Because I like the ability to have these open conversations with you, but also you guys being able to jump in and tell your story. I think we have an incredible time. Not only being open and honest about what's on our mind, but handling things as they come, and just be very open about all of that. Not to call you out real quick, Sarah, but I gotta say, yeah, you missed cable management. Definitely take a look at it when you get a chance. But I think one of the most important moments, and one of the things I'm absolutely thankful for on the Venture Forward, but also VF Talks, was talking about the day that the divorce decree came to me. That it finally came through my lawyer's office and getting that. I had to tell someone, and Sarah, I was glad and very, very thankful that you were there to hear that, and it meant a lot to me. That episode was a blessing from the universe. I think the thing is to have that conversation, but then have a friend of yours that you went to college with just join, and it's like we didn't talk for a while, and she's on, and it's like it was incredible. That whole episode is incredible. This whole trip has been incredible. This whole entire journey has been incredible, and I can't thank you guys enough. I can't thank you guys enough. All of you in here, Loria, David, Kali, thank you guys an awful lot. LT, Felice, Sober James, Nicole, thank you guys a lot. We're all doing this. We're all trying to find that better path. So, we're here. And anytime anyone needs to pick my brain on anything, I am always there. I will always be there for you. As I know you've been there for me during all of this. Muchly appreciated. Muchly thankful. Aub says, JV, I have a crappy camera, but it is doable. Yes, it is doable. I promise sometime in the next month or two, there will be better cameras in here. There'll be ring lighting. I won't be doing this on a very basic setup. But it is very doable, Aub. You got a laptop or a phone, you could do amazing things. As we learned today, You have a newer phone, the cameras in the newer phones, the newer iPhones, what have you, have such amazing cameras. So you could do it on the most basic of setups, Ob. So we definitely want to hear your message for sure. Jane says, ouch, been there, John, 2003. Yeah. Um, it's given me a chance to start over. And that's what this is. I'm really thankful to have this chance to start over. Really thankful to be alive. Wake up in the morning, I'm thankful to be alive. Because that's what this is about. Having that sort of that real love of life. This real love of the journey. Not only about the things that matter to you, but the things that you can help others out with too. Because truly, if we're not learning, then we're not growing. And nothing more eye-opening than going through a learning exercise like starting a live stream, doing a month-long workshop, but making friends with such incredible people that are trying to do the same very thing. Sarah, you're incredible. Thank you. Ob says, I was relieved getting my divorce in 2000. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it is. You know, it's like what I said with Sarah a couple weeks back. Do I have any animosity? No. No. There are moments that'll peak up every now and then, but I hope she lives the best life she can. I know I'm trying to live the best life I can. It's as simple as that. Sean says, we can't thank you enough, John. What you're doing is important. Thank you, Sean. Thank you very much. Your words, Sean, whether it's here or the recovery groups or Discord, very important to me too. Some of the things we've talked about have been very, very fundamental to me, and I'm very appreciative of you. And I guess in the spirit of Thanksgiving, I'm very thankful for you, Sean, and with everyone else. Thank you, Jane. Thank you. Ob, we can find you a good ring light. Hey, we have a sale coming up at the end of the week. Everybody's doing a sale, so I'm sure you could find a ring light for not much at all. Jane, I'm glad you asked that question. My thought was probably not with a live on Thursday. However, I kind of promised I would do this last week, and I didn't. But there was 20 minutes from the VF Talks we did a week and change ago, about gambling and the sort of telltale signs that I knew I was a gambler and the reason why the gambling piece was so important. So I will finish cutting that and getting that out there for air on Thursday. It won't be a live episode, but we will be back live 1 week from tonight, 6:30 Eastern, 3:30 Pacific, on here, on YouTube, Facebook, but then also on Twitch. The Twitch handle is going to be the Venture Forward, and I'll post that after the show. Ob says, when you say about JV, you almost sound like a Canadian. Don't mind sounding like a Canadian. A boot. It's all a boot life, Cloud Lady. It's boot time. Ob says, I want a ring light behind me looking like a halo around my head. Bah ha ha ha. Yeah. It's your show. You do whatever you want, Ob. Jane says, no worries, just checking. I'm off to the 7:30 Mara meeting. Love y'all. Jane, I love you. And thank you for joining us tonight. And on that, I'm going to wish you guys a very happy and healthy Thanksgiving holiday. wherever you may be. If you're doing it from home on a Zoom meeting or you're heading out to a small gathering, whatever you're doing, please please do it in the most safest and healthiest way you can. Ingy says, "Happy Thanksgiving. Thankful for you all and an encouraging talk." Ingy, thank you for joining us tonight for sure. And I will say the same exact thing I say at the end of every single venture forward. Stay safe, stay sane, stay strong, stay sober. You're worth it. I love you. I love all of you. I'll see you next Tuesday at 6:30 Eastern, 3:30 Pacific for another Venture Forward, where we start talking about CPTSD. Happy Thanksgiving. Talk to you next week.